Hey there YouTube, this SJM4306 back with another review video. This time it's a favorite of mine, and apparently it's a fan favorite. A lot of people like watching MP3 player reviews. So yeah, MP3 players are not dead, not yet at least. So anyway, a company that sent me another MP3 player, which I freaking loved, was Pecsu. They sent me last time this guy, which was the make sure I get this right, P5S, not the PS5, the P5S. Anyway, this is an everyday live in my backpack MP3 player. I use this at work constantly, and it's a solid player. I love just about everything about this. There's only a few things that I wish would have been improved, and you can watch the video for this. I put this up maybe about like 2 months ago, maybe 3 months, something like that. But anyway, yeah, this is a fantastic MP3 player. So I was really excited when they said, "Hey, SJM, we have a upgraded, updated model of this." I said, "Heck yes! Say no more. Send it over my way." So they did. And so we are going to take a look at this guy. Now, the price point for this model, I believe, is, I want to say it was like 70 or 80 bucks. It's around that price point. I believe every once in a while you'll see on Amazon, they'll have like coupons that you could use. So you might be able to get a little bit off of that price. But just keep in mind that around $70 to $80 price point. Now, this is also a 5-inch player, much like the P5S that I just showed you. So it should be similar in size to this. The design, however, is a little different, and kind of the biggest pushing point that they have for this model in particular is this model had no Google Play Store, and that's one thing that I kind of complained about it. I couldn't get the YouTube app working, and like a lot of other Google services didn't quite work. I couldn't get it working at all, in fact, through the app support. This, however, does have Google Play now, so that opens up a whole app store, literally. So anyway, let's just get into this guy. Very plain box. I mean, it's a nice box, but at least hopefully that means they spent the money that a lot of companies would spend on a flashy box on the player itself. That would make me happy. Model number, by the way, is the G5. And yeah, so let's just rip this open. So yeah, I'm going to keep this to the side because we're going to be doing a comparison, clearly. And just slide this open. I guess I will boot this while I'm at it. So we'll get that going. So we have the player front and center, nicely surrounded by foam. We have that here. I'm just going to set that to the side. And look what other goodies we get. So we get various USB adapters, because the whole idea behind that is you can plug this into your phone and then sync your music directly to this, because it just shows up as a mass storage device. And I believe, I don't remember if this one had USB on the go where you could just plug in a thumb drive. I have to test that real quick. I have to grab a thumb drive or something. But anyway, that's generally the idea behind these adapters, as well as a USB-C cord. Fairly short, looks to be about like 10 inches or 12 inches. But yeah, those are freebies. We have the user manual, pretty light on user manualage. But then again, I guess if you used any kind of Android device, you should kind of know how to Android. It does come very nicely with an extra screen protector, actually 2. It looks like, no, actually just 1. But they do pre-install 1 on the unit itself, so this is your backup if that one gets scratched. So that's a nice thought. So let's just set this aside and slide this out. Now these, I will say, these are hefty players. Hefty. Ooh, the newer one is actually slightly taller than the older one. That's interesting. It has a bit more of a chin on the top and the bottom. The bezel for the screen. For width, it is slightly wider as well. So they made it a little bit bigger. Now, the one thing that I will say when I saw on the sales page, the battery on this guy was 2,500 milliamp hours, which was fantastic. And that was one of the things, even on Bluetooth, blasting the Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi, the battery life on this guy was really good. I quite enjoyed that. Here they dropped the battery to 2,000 milliamp hours, but they said that the chemistry of the battery is different. I'm not too well versed in battery chemistries in particular for like lithium based batteries, but apparently they said that it's supposed to be like more stable and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. We'll have to see. But just in terms of the speaking points here, I believe it uses the exact same processor. This guy has 3 gigs of RAM. This guy also has 3 gigs of RAM. Same processor. The display is the same size, the same resolution. Keep in mind, I they may or may not say HD when they're talking about the display on these sales pages. I can't remember, but the display is basically WVGA, I believe. It's 854 by 480, so it's not like super high resolution. But honestly, looking at it, it looks just fine. I actually wouldn't advise watching videos on devices like this. Your phone is probably much better at doing that. So anyway, does have dual band Wi-Fi, which is fantastic. We'll have to check the range on that because I do like using this actually at work. Connected to Wi-Fi, stream just Pandora, or I have a couple other apps that will do web streaming, radio and whatnot, and it's fantastic for that. Does have a full touchscreen, Bluetooth 5. Has a micro SD card slot that you can upgrade up to 1 terabyte, they say. I'm sure it would take more, but there aren't any commercially available 2 terabyte cards yet. So, but yeah, I have right now, I forget, I think it's like a 64 gig card in this or something. Just one that I found in my drawer. And I've had no trouble with that. So I doubt I'll have any trouble with this. And so one other added feature is they have an extra button here, and that's for the internal mic. There's an internal mic, and you click that, and you can do voice recordings. So I'll probably never use that, but fair enough that it has that feature. One thing that I am disappointed by, the old model has 2 headphone jacks. The new one only has 1. That may or may not be a problem. Honestly, I only ever use this with Bluetooth headphones, so it would make no difference to me. But I can definitely understand if you like listening with headphones and maybe you want to share with a friend, that could be disappointing, in which case then you probably want to go with the older model. Anyway, we have the Type-C charger on the bottom. We have these speaker holes. On the sides, we have the micro SD card slot on here. We have the record button, volume up, down, and then power. So they just flip the buttons for some odd reason. Nothing on the top. And on the other side, this one had the micro SD card slot. This one moved it to this side. So, okay, fair enough. We got glass backs on both, which are very nice. This is all metal body, by the way. Feels really solid. It is sort of a bit disappointing that it's physically larger. For making it larger, I would have expected then the battery to be larger as well, in which case I could forgive having a slightly larger case. But smaller body, larger case doesn't really quite make sense to me. If you look at the thickness, they're very close, but it looks like the old model is just a tad bit thinner. It's sort of exaggerated there. It's kind of closer to about here in real life. So yeah, it's a little bit thicker, it's a little bit longer, it's a little bit wider, it's a little bit bigger. Suppose if you have big hands, that won't really matter, or if you're used to carrying massive phones in your pocket. Anyway, how do I get this screen protector off? Give me 1 sec, I'm gonna have to do this off camera. There's no pull tab. Okay, Pecsu. Step 1, stick a pull tab so I can actually get this off easier. Anyway, let me just do this real quick. Okay, ASMR time. There we go. Okay, so what is interesting is there is like a hole. Oh, no, that's, so I'm already getting fingerprints all over it. There is the secondary screen protector underneath the top, like, fact sheet thing, and that one has a bubble in it, so, ooh, yeah, that's gonna bother me, so... Yeah, Pecsu. Second thing, make sure there are no air bubbles when you apply the factory applied screen protector, because that is definitely going to bother me. Feels like some kind of polyamide, maybe PET or something. The screen protector underneath here is glass, And on the back as well, there is also a protector on the back with another air bubble. Yeah, guys, you need to fix that. Anyway, let's just power this up, see what the battery situation is. So the starting screen looks very similar. It's probably, I believe these are both running Android 8.1 or something. So keep in mind that that will also limit what apps you can install, because a lot of super modern apps, you can only go back 1 or 2 generations of Android and they just won't install properly on older ones. So yeah, we have this screen here. I guess it's getting set up. I have to use my Google account or something. Okay. I will finish that in a sec. So likely that's only necessary if you want to use the Play Store. Sure, whatever. Anyway, oh, I forgot to mention, both of these have 32 gigs of internal flash. So decent amount of space right outside the box. 62% battery, so gonna need to charge this up. Uh, right outside of the box, we're using 7.68 gigabytes, so 24% used. So we have 3/4 of that 32 gigabytes to fill up, as well as keep in mind I noted the SD card slot, which is where I'm going to store everything anyway. So not a big deal. The responsiveness, it actually does seem pretty responsive. One weird thing I noted, there is no app drawer. Like I'm used to with every Android phone, just being able to flick up and you can see all your apps. Neither one of these, they have that feature disabled for some reason. Let's see if I can turn up the peak brightness. So I will say the old screen is noticeably brighter. Viewing angles, ooh, yeah. Look how that washes out when you go to the bottom. When you go to the side, it's not too bad. Other side, not too bad. Top, so top and bottom, this washes out pretty badly. The old screen actually holds up really well no matter what angle. So if I'm being honest, the old screen, the old device has the better screen overall. It's brighter, it looks better. I'm gonna have to set up a different background though. I think this dark background really isn't helping with how bright this looks. But anyway, I'm actually going to set this up. And just quickly, you could see what apps came with it for some reason. Oxford Dictionary, ebook, file transfer clock, recorder, FM radio. For FM radio, you will need to plug in a pair of headphones to act as the antenna, headphone or cord. But once you do, you can actually pipe it through the loudspeaker. So you can just literally use a 3.5 millimeter aux cord just as the antenna. It does have a web browser, file manager, Hi-B music. It's a music player as well as AI MP player. But I am actually going to install all of my own apps on this. It's going to take me a little while to get this set up, but I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so it's been about probably close to 2 weeks that I've had this. And actually, I have taken this with me. By the way, if it looks like I'm in a completely different area, it's because I just moved into my new house and we're still setting a lot of things up. But I actually use this for my commutes a little bit longer now. So I've been using this in my car, set up over Bluetooth and transmitting to my head unit and just listening to music that way. And so my findings are a bit of a mixed bag, if I'm being honest. So in terms of the positive things about this, having the Google Play Store is really nice. Having access to Play services, so YouTube works just fine. Absolutely no issues here. The Wi-Fi seems pretty decently strong. I don't really have any trouble accessing decently far from a router, so there's no major issues like the AGP Tech 4-inch model that I reviewed in the past that had pretty weak Wi-Fi. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on this seem just fine. Haven't had any issues with it. One thing that I think could be improved is, it's going to be the main Achilles heel of this, is the battery life. Now, in the specifications, the P5S has a 2500 milliamp battery, and this apparently has a 2000, I believe. And in their literature, they said it's some special fancy type of lithium polymer or something chemistry. And they said that it should net you equivalent battery life to the older model, but that's not the case. The older model, in a couple tests that I ran, gave me about 15 plus hours of runtime. This guy running it more or less in the exact same fashion, transmitting over Bluetooth, not really touching the screen, not turning on the screen, just leaving it kind of on shuffle. I was getting around 8 to 10 hours of playback time over Bluetooth, which is okay but not fantastic, especially given the size of this. I would expect something that's this physically large and kind of relatively heavy. I would expect this to be like 20 plus hour runtime. So having less than half of that is disappointing, if I'm being honest. Now, overall, I mean, the build quality is fantastic. It's still, glass and metal, decently built. But if I'm being honest, I kind of prefer the design of the P5S better, because it's actually just a little bit smaller and the screen is better on that model. You can just see how badly this washes out. You get on any angle besides like dead center. And another thing you might have heard, so when you unlock it or type or anything, you have these notification click sounds. There's no way to turn that off. It will do that forever and ever. When I open the context menu for the audio, I can only adjust alarm and media. There's no notification volume, and it's set to maximum. I cannot adjust it. Even in the sound, like the settings menu for sounds, there's nothing I can do. It doesn't even give me, even if I go into advanced, there's no adjustment. I can't turn that off. That drives me nuts. Please fix that. I'm begging you, Pecsu, you really do need to fix that. There's no excuse for, I mean, to be fair, if it is connected over Bluetooth, it doesn't make those sounds. It mutes it on the internal speaker. But when you just have it in your pocket and you unlock it, it makes that stupid click sound, which I hate. I know it's a small thing. It's just a pet peeve of mine. But anyway, so here's the thing that I'm going to suggest, and hopefully Pecsu isn't too angry at me for this. If you want to get a fantastic Android MP3 player and you don't care about the Play Store, get the P5S. It is objectively overall the better model, in my opinion. If you absolutely need the Play Store, if you want it to watch YouTube videos, because I could not get the YouTube app to run on the P5S, I could only get it to work playing videos using the web browser and going to youtube.com. If you want to use the app, then I think this guy is okay for that purpose. But if you're okay sideloading your own apps, then you're just better off overall, I think, getting the last gen model, the P5S. Because in terms of everything that I've read, they're pretty much identical, with the exception of the P5S has a slightly larger battery and better runtime anyway. And because I know everyone's going to ask, let's test the record functionalities. So if you press and hold the red button, it'll bring up the recording app, and I can just speak like this, and hopefully it will catch what I'm saying, and I can pause it and stop and play that back. So I'll just save that real quick. Now, yeah, there we go. If I go into quality, this was already on high. Keep in mind there's low, mid, and high. It's in .3GPP, which is an older format, not MP3 or not high bit rate, anything like that. Let's play that back. Speak like this, and hopefully it will catch what I'm saying, and I can. Let's do it. And I can just speak like this, and hopefully it will catch what I'm saying, and I can. So here's the thing. Let's just, no, that's actually not what I wanted to do. There we go, delete. So In terms of using this as a voice recorder, honestly, I have a million other devices that sound much better that are in just WAV or MP3 format that I can directly dump into any video editing software or anything, playback on any device. .3GPP is such an old, weird format to be using. It's just weird. Now, given this is just their built-in software, you could always download any other voice recording app that will record directly into MP3, so I'm not too bothered by that. But I just find it really weird that they paired that to this record button, and I would have much preferred if in the settings menu, if you could program this button and just have it so that I can use this button to launch any app or like change what function it does. That would have been infinitely more useful than tying it to a pretty crippled voice recording app, if I'm being honest. So yeah, overall, I mean, I just expected a little bit more from this, being especially since my last video. I honestly think the P5S is one of the best standalone Android like portable media players that don't have a cellular phone built in. I think for that target, the P5S was almost perfect. So I was expecting perfection this time around, and if I'm being honest, this let me down a little bit, especially in terms of the bulk of it, the screen not being so great as the previous model was much better, the LCD itself, and as well as the battery life is sort of the biggest thing. And yeah, I mentioned before, only one headphone jack. That honestly doesn't bother me that much. I couldn't care less about that, but definitely the battery life is sort of meh for me. But yeah, if you did want to pick this up, like I said, if you are really into like Google Play services and or the Google Play Store, or you just do not know how to sideload apps or you don't want to worry about that, then pick this guy up. If not, I highly suggest getting the P5S. That is one of the best like Android MP3 players that's sub $100, that doesn't have a phone built in, and you can get brand new for that price. So I can't recommend that model enough, unless if, like I said, you really need the Google Play Store for some reason. But anyway, yeah, hopefully Pecsu understands that I just have to be honest about this. I'm a little bit disappointed in this model. I really hope to see their next model return kind of to the design of the P5S in terms of like the functionality and just basically what if Pecsu wants to hear me out for a sec, just re-release the P5S with the Google Play Store, or better yet, do that and add a like over the air, or even if I have to download a file that I have to execute on the device to do a manual firmware update, just update all P5S units to add the Google Play Store in the firmware. That will make me happy, and you can even re-release that model with the Google Play built in and sell that. I don't know. That's just the way I feel about it. Hopefully, you guys understand. I'm trying to be as honest as possible. It's not very often that I'm kind of disappointed, and I had really big expectations. I think that's why I'm relatively disappointed at this product release. I think that they could have done just so much better. They definitely did some good things in terms of like the design. It feels nice in the hand. It's just I wish it were just a little bit smaller. I think the top and bottom bezels are what make it physically larger than the P5S in general. If they could have slimmed that down. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.